So hi guys, welcome to live stream. It's the first time I've been doing it like this in quite a long time, maybe 6 or 7 weeks. I've been in India for a month doing talks, so I think you got to see 4 or 5 of them, which were amazing. If you're new to live stream, then you watch through YouTube, through my YouTube channel, and then you ask questions through Skype. So you need a Skype account and you need my contact and add me as a friend. And my contact name is Lisa Cairns 12. And then you can ask questions through Skype. You need to have microphone. Normally it's not good enough without that. And you need to have a good internet connection in order to be able to Skype with me. And people will be able to hear your voice, and if you give me your permission they can see your face, but I will always ask about seeing your face if you want to speak. First of all, I do an introduction, then I will take questions. And I've got some events coming up. My next event is the 11th of February. I do an online retreat where we do it through Skype, and it's 2 hours in the afternoon and 2 hours in the evening. And it's just a small group of 15 to 20 people. And then the event after that is in Cairns, Spain, which is the 4th to the 11th of March. And that's a retreat near Malaga. And then the next event after that will be France, Weekend Talks in France, the end of April. And then the event after that will be in June, a retreat in France. So you can find all of that information on my website, which is www.lisacairns.com. It should soon be linked to the end of the videos, or you can see it underneath in that box down there. And you can chat. There's a live chat that you can chat in, and I encourage you to chat in and meet other like-minded people, but I ask you to regulate it. So if there's anyone that's not actually listening to the talk and just as being silly, then ban them. You have the choice to do that. So I can't see the chat, so that's something that you guys have got to do. But I'm sure that 99.9% of the people are here for non-duality, and then you get the odd one that clicks on it, and they're a bit silly. And I do these talks every Sunday at 6 p.m. and Wednesday at 6 p.m. French time. But always check on my website, because if I'm traveling or doing talks or away in India, then it changes. I might be doing it at a different time, or I might not be doing it. Hello, Miss Khaleesi. This is my partner in crime, Miss Khaleesi. Come on. Let people see you. Yeah. 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 Hello. Hello. Hey? You too. Hey? So all spiritual groups talk about this moment, being in the moment. And you get it from so many different angles. In non-duality, it's normally called consciousness. You are consciousness, or rest in the I am, or more European or Western non-duality might say it's beingness. It's this present moment, it's presence, it's aliveness. Buddhists would talk about being in the moment, resting the attention in the moment. Christians would talk about Christ consciousness and the Holy Spirit. So you've got all these different ways of talking about this moment. You'd have more New Age people that talk about following the heart. There's so many different ways in which this moment is talked about. So something that I think all these different religions and all these different philosophies can agree on is that this, what's happening, is the freedom. But this is where it's so confusing, because even in this talk, in society and the way that we're always taught that thinking is king. And it even seems like in this talk, I'm teaching you something intellectual. I'm teaching you a new idea. Obviously, because I'm sitting here and I'm speaking, that's what it seems like. But actually, I'm talking about something beyond that. And something that can never be captured in words. But in a way, words are used because there's two reasons. Firstly, because when I'm speaking or when this is being spoken about, there's a resonance with this moment, not with the intellect, not with what's being said, but there's a resonance with something that's being pointed to that's not conceptual. And then the second part is, in a way, because there's a belief in concepts, because the belief is that freedom is found in concepts, it's almost as if concepts counteract that. So because you believe you have a life, you believe you're living, you believe you're sitting listening to me, in a way, to that one that believes all of that, that appearance of that one that believes all of that, you're kind of in a way giving the negative ideas, you're kind of cutting out those ideas. Negatives meaning the opposite. So you believe you're sitting there, and then somebody, say, in non-duality would say, there is no you. And for a moment when you say that, the concept of there being a you drops away. Normally what happens then is the mind then says, the truth is there is no you, but that's not the truth. That's just a new concept that's been used to counteract the other concept. The same with non-doership. There is no doer. And the mind believes it is a doer, and so suddenly that is dropped, and in that moment that it's dropped, all that's left is this moment, is this innocence. So it's kind of two-way what happens when you're speaking about this subject. The first way is that when I speak, I'm reminding you of an innocence that's present, and then the second part is that the concepts are countering out the concepts that you already have. It's like two concepts collide and momentarily they both disappear. But then the mind either re-identifies with the old concept or then takes in the new concept and says, that's me, that's who I am. What all of it's pointing to is a freedom that's right here. This radical aliveness that is the nature of all things. This sense of being, this experiencing, this knowing of everything that's happening, that's instantaneous, that doesn't require a thought, that's totally innocent and never suffered. What happened in humanity when it began to speak, so thousands and thousands, maybe even millions, I don't even know when we began to speak, but a long time ago when we began to speak, there was a forgetting or a covering of this present moment and believing that what you thought, what was thought was true. And everything that's thought goes into time. Time and thinking are the same thing. So you can only think about something that exists in time. So what happened to the human was they begun to live in time and believe who they were was found in time. And it's all a lie. It's all a false world. There's nothing wrong with it, and it's part of our communication, and it's the way we exist as a society. But this identification with being someone that moves in time is where suffering comes from. It's not, the suffering isn't the thoughts, the feelings, the ideas, the sensations. Even if they're painful sensations or painful thoughts, that's not the problem. The problem is that which identifies with that being who you are. So the thought says, I am this feeling, I am anger, so therefore I'm bad. I am jealousy. It's my fault. I own it. It's my responsibility. And I'm bad, or they're bad for making me jealous. And so rather than everything arising as it does, so the thoughts and the feelings being part of this painting, this separate entity is always claiming to be things. Ideas, thoughts, feelings, sensations, money, wealth, its home. So I am a rich person. There is nobody that's rich. It's just a way we talk in our society. It's not a truth, but our society preaches that is the truth. So people really think they are rich and they're better than poor people. And none of this is true. None of this is a reality. It's our way of communicating. So I am rich compared to some of the people I met in India, but I am poor compared to some of the people I meet in the West, to a lot of the people I meet in the West. But neither's truth. I'm not richer than and I'm not poorer than. That's got nothing to do with who I am. It's a description of what's happening to this body at that moment, and it's something that's always possibly going to change. One moment I'm rich to someone, next moment I'm poor to someone else. And we have this way of communicating, a way of speaking about things which is important, but it isn't who we are. Who we are is actually this present moment. Ooh. This beingness. This sense of aliveness. This aliveness that's been there when you've been rich, when you've been poor, when you've been good, when you've been bad, when you've been happy, when you've been sad, when you've been angry, when you've been furious, when you've been ecstatic, when you've been sexual, when you've been upset, when you've cried, when you've been sad, when you've been compassionate, when you've been empathetic, when you've been enraged. There has always been this sense of aliveness. When you've told yourself stories about victimhood or how brilliant you are, there has always been that presence. When you were 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, there was that presence. When you were 10, 20, always there has been this presence, this aliveness, this sense of being, this immediacy. Hey, isn't there? That's who you are, is that sense of being. And then in that arises the person with a brain that thinks. And so waking up, in my definition, is the movement back to that essence of who you are, this beingness, this aliveness. It's not, and I'm not talking about being a perfect human, although I would love to sell myself as being the most perfect human being that never gets angry, that never cries, that never gets mad with Khaleesi, that never is rude and always joyful. Although I'd love to sell that to you, this is not a reality. Lisa is a accumulation of lots of different experiences. I am this Lisa person, this personality is accumulation of lots of different things. She's affected by what seemingly happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future. But that is not the experiencer. So the enlightenment doesn't happen to the person. The enlightenment is a movement back to something which isn't a thing, which doesn't belong to anyone. Which doesn't belong to anyone and is always present. And then when that movement happens, it affects the personality. Like, it dramatically affected me. It made me a lot nicer person, a lot more relaxed, a lot less stressed, a lot less worrying and anxiety. But it didn't make me perfect. I still have emotions and feelings and get angry with people or happy with people. But it's made me so much more compassionate, empathetic. And it's something which is constantly growing in the character. So the character is understanding this better, the body is understanding this and growing into this realization. And that's never ending. In human terms, there can always be an improvement of intelligence. There can always be an improvement of behavior, of a way of living, of way of seeing things, the conditioning, the traumas. All of those things will always grow. There's a never ending possibility in the human world. And that is total humility, to say and to completely see that the human can never be enlightened. The human always has the possibility to grow, to take responsibility for its actions, to improve its actions. Even though ultimately that person isn't the doer and has no free will, the person feels like it does. It comes with the feeling of having free will. I always have the possibility of being a better dog owner, even though I'm pretty freaking good. I always have the possibility of improvement, which is really beautiful. But that is a never-ending thing, and that instrument, this instrument that's always evolving and changing, doesn't get enlightened. And this is such an important realization that freedom is this movement back to this knowing, this energetic shift, this absolute seeing without doubt that who you are is this beingness, is this present moment. And it's energetic as well. I can't explain it, but it's like an energetic release. And then the integration of that is never ending. So the integration into the human form, and it's not the human that gets enlightened. It can never be, because the human doesn't really exist. There isn't somebody solid that could be enlightened. But we can put the body-mind mechanism certainly changes and grows with that. And there seems to be, in the apparent process of waking up, even though it's not a personal thing, there seems to be lots of different processes that happen. And there's not one process for everybody. There's infinite amount of paths, for infinite amount of people. There's infinite possibilities of the way it goes. So there's as many different ways as different people that come into this subject. Because each body-mind will have its very unique conditioning and unique way of seeing this world. But there seems to be a similar process that happens. There's the listening to non-duality that happens, and really seeing and having these awakenings that who you are isn't something that's moving, isn't found in the world, but yet is the world, the whole entire world. And that this reality isn't a divided reality, there is no separation. And then the other side to it is the intellectual understanding and recognition of the seeker, of what that illusory person is seeking for in time, and really understanding what it's seeking for and seemingly becoming more and more honest. So it goes back to its more basic wants and desires rather than what you believe brings you freedom. So in the beginning, when you get into the subject, what you might believe brings you freedom, or what you've been taught, is money, love affairs, kids, house, education, whatever it is. And then over time you become more and more genuine and more honest. So then you might think it's enlightenment, but that's not it either. It gets more and more honest. Enlightenment is another idea that comes and goes. And so you become more and more real, until even the idea of enlightenment seems like a crazy idea. There's only everything that's happening. And the person is more and more genuine and more able to say what it thinks and feels without judging itself or constantly trying to constrict itself. not because it's always having positive emotions, so therefore it's always being nice, but because it no longer believes it has to be nice, good, or anything. There's just a total trust in it being as it is. And actually, when that happens, when the person becomes more and more honest, that person's not going to be bad. It might go through a stage of badness coming out, like anger or rage coming out. But the more and more genuine you become, the human might be self-centered. It's an animal that's moving towards pleasure, but it's not evil or bad. It's just doing its thing. It's not trying to hurt people or manipulate people or con people. But yet it most probably will be selfish. Not in a bad way, but in the way that, we're an animal that's set up to move towards pleasure. And that's something that these animals can evolve and change with. But at the moment, we move towards that which is pleasurable. So maybe when there's the process of becoming more and more honest on the personal level, maybe you become more honest with your greed. You're sitting at a table with all your friends and there's one piece of cake left and everyone's too embarrassed and shy to take the cake, and they keep offering it to other people. So, oh no, you have it. No, you. Oh no, I couldn't. And then when you're waking up and becoming more honest, you're like, I have it. Me, I want it. You're very excited by that. So there's the two things that happens. There's this seeing that's not your seeing. It's not somebody's seeing, but there's the seeing that who you are is this present moment. The clouds move and it's seen that you are this presence, this eternal now, this eternity. And that you've never been walking through a separate world. You've never been in relationship with the world. There is only been yourself, experiencing yourself as wholeness. And then on the personal level, there is the recognition that everything you seek for as a person, not the movement towards pleasure, but that seeking energy that's looking for completion in time, isn't it. And there is that honesty there. I want money because I believe it will complete me. I want sex because I believe it will complete me. Whatever it is. I want you to say I'm wonderful because I feel it will complete me. And there's not even a care about it anymore. It just gets more and more and more honest. You are as you are. There we go. That's the whole 2 hours done. Complete. I might as well have my crisps now. Come on then. If you want one, come. Come on. Come. Come on. Come to you. My Skype preferences have all changed. There you go. You are. Where is the sounds coming from? So hi guys on Skype. Hi Open Eye Hunt. Hi Carol. Hi Deepak. Hi Yardiku. Hi Renate. Melissa, great you're back. Live, and thanks for the India broadcast. listen to Roger too. You seem to complement each other. Very good. Nice. Call me if you get time. Hi, Mates. Hi, Sanjay. Hi, Sam. Hi, Sebastian. I kind of forgot that I had live stream today, because I kind of knew I had live stream, but it's different time in UK. It's 5 o'clock. So I kind of walked Khaleesi and I got back just at 5 o'clock. I was drying her. And then I thought, oh, it's my live stream now. So then I came and did that. But Khaleesi didn't get her dinner. So she's not very happy. She's kind of flirting a lot. She flirts when she's hungry. It's cute. If my mum or dad walk past, I might call over and say it to them. Oh, it's not my computer, it's my iPad. I couldn't work out where the sounds were coming from. It's the iPad, of course. I still haven't done that in settings. When you closed the connection in the half of my sentence and wrote me info about wrong energy for the session, I began to talk with another liberated thing, advised by you in one of your previous videos. Recently we talked about how my things went with you, and she did not understand the case either. Seemingly her head is broken just the same way like with your one, so I think she should understand your reason more than I do, but she does not. So this is where I totally lose the clue. I can be talking with another enlightened one without problems. I can be asking here, and nowadays you even begun to answer me. I was paying you well, treating you fair, without expectations, and still I'm not allowed to ask you in private. I have lots of questions. Most of them it would be slow and very frustrating to ask them in this way. And you, liberated guys, are very different universes. After talking with her, I still want you too more than before. Why cannot we talk privately? Why is my wrong energy so important to you? Why do I have to be open to be allowed to ask you? Be happy if your God lets you to be that. But that thing fucking hates us all. I can't really remember that much. Honestly, Open I Hung, I forget your name. If I remember about our session, I just felt you had a lot of anger, and you can donate to me as much money as you like, but I'm not here to be spoken to without respect. And please, I'm happy to refund you all the donations, because nothing's going to make me speak with someone that's not treating me with respect. And that's that. You'll most probably argue and say that you were being respectful, but if I felt energetically like there was lack of respect, then that's my prerogative. It just felt a lot of anger, and it felt like your anger was directed at me. And I don't think it was directed at me. I think that there is a lot of anger in you, and I think that's something that you need to address and look at. And there's so many techniques in which I teach you guys and I speak about going into your feelings. So that's something you can do. And when I feel like you, that anger has dissipated towards authority, I mean, you'll see me the same way that you see God, really. So you know that hatred and that anger that you've got towards God, that's how you'll see other beings. That's the way your mind's dividing at the moment, that you're a victim to this external force. And really, even though you're not conscious of it, all other people, liberated people, non-liberated people, you'll be constantly seeing the world like that. That's your projection, that you are a victim to it. And I offered you refunds. I can't really remember our conversation, but I'm happy to refund any donation that you've given me. If you have given me any donation. I don't even know. I don't really know. It's a long time ago. And this is more than likely going to hurt you. And you're going to feel outraged. How dare you? How dare she? I am the victim here and she has to give something to me. And this is the mentality of humans. They always feel victim and they feel that they're owed something by life. And what I often find, that when people come to my talks, or even with one-to-one sessions, like, people have a dynamic where it's like, it's such a weird dynamic. It's like people feel owed something. Like life owes them something. Like entitled. I think it's a very Western thing in our society. You know, just spending this last month in India, you just see so much hardship on people. It's so hard for them to make a living. And they're so grateful for such tiny things. And in the West, it's like the opposite mentality, because there often is enough, even though I don't agree with the way our society's set up. The mentality is that people feel like life or society owes them something and that they've been victimized by it. You're victimized by your family, by your parents, by your lover, by God, by me as a speaker, and none of it's true. It's just the way your brain has got used to producing thoughts and producing stories, and you most probably picked it up genetically and then from your parents. Always complain and find negative in situations, when really everything's a gift. In every instant, this life, like drinking the tea, it's a gift. It's just a mentality of the seeker. Like, that's a gift. This air you breathe is a gift. But most people don't look at it like that. They're like, I deserve this air, I deserve this drink, I deserve this computer, I don't have a good enough computer, this isn't fair, I want more. They're not even conscious of it, but that's their mentality. Their mentality is always finding the negative. People are so incredibly negative, especially the United Kingdom. I always laugh every time I come back into the UK, because a few years ago I hadn't been back to the UK for maybe like 5 years ago. I hadn't been back to the UK for 2 years. I'd been in Australia. And I came into the UK, and the first thing I saw was a big board that says, now if you're English, you'll find this very funny, do you have any complaints? So it wasn't welcome to England or welcome to Britain or Britain welcome you. Do you have any complaints? And then you see a massive queue of English people off to go and have a complaint about something. It's so funny. It's a mentality that we teach to each other. It's a way of communicating. Oh, the weather's bad today, or this person did this, or politics. And so it's a mentality that we teach to each other, and then it's part of being separate, because what the mind does and what thinking does is thinking is a problem solving mechanism. So we develop thinking. So if you've ever seen Jungle Book, it's so beautiful when Mowgli, forgot his name, can use his tools. We can think to work things out. So we see a problem, we can think about it, and we can work it out. And that's what thinking is designed for, and that's all it's designed for. But what happens when we identify is we're identified with thinking. So everything about us and who we believe ourselves to be in thinking is about problem solving and seeking. So we see ourselves as something that's in some sort of problem or dilemma. So when we watch films, it's all about problems or dilemmas, what we should do with the next move. And it's always about working stuff out. And because our society, and because we feel separate, so we feel uncomfortable, it kind of always goes negative. We get more and more negative about life and about things, where really everything is a freaking gift. Everything, every moment of this. Why? So this is from the same person, Open Ihan. Why can I not just spit the gift back in the face of God? What a victim you are, Open Ihan. When was I asked about this gift, whether I want it or not? What pity you have on yourself. So that's the way that you want to walk around, is constantly in that negativity and that dark way of looking at stuff. So I say all these things, I point out your negativity to you and the reason that I didn't want to speak to you, and your response is, why can I not spit it back in God's face? I'm sorry for the hardships that's happened to you in your life. I know that that mentality doesn't come from always things being positive, but that's part of life. It grows and then it's destroyed. It grows and it's destroyed. Your hatred of life is from wrong interpretation of life and wrong interpretation of yourself. It's not actually because of life. It's your interpretation. And that mentality just will breed more suffering and more darkness. There's no point to it. It will get you nowhere, but you've got to see that. It got you nowhere with me. I rejected you. I'm not interested. Because you just project that onto me as well, because I'll become the new thing that you're battling against. But this will take a lot of work, so you have to go into your feelings. You have to see the feelings that are associated with life. You have to go back to when you first felt victimized, because it's not true. And part of being part of the human experience now is seeing through the lies of the mind. You know, Khaleesi, my dog, she's not had the easiest of life. Sometimes, just having come from India, she's from Thailand, and I'm very compassionate. It might make me cry about the animals. I have a big thing for the animals. And, you know, I see the dogs there, and I think about Khaleesi and the life that Khaleesi was given. It wasn't an easy life. You know, dogs in Thailand, their life expectancy is 2 years. 2 years. And I saw her beaten up by other dogs, her flesh ripped open, her hair wouldn't stay on because there was this bacteria in Thailand that made dogs' hair fall out. I saw her hit with spades by Thai people, by brooms. And even when she came to me, I didn't exactly want her. It was nothing personal, Cleese, but the last thing you want to be given is a street dog whose hair is falling out, who's covered in ticks, and you don't even really have a permanent home, so you're always traveling, so taking a dog is not a very wise thing. And so the whole first period that she was with me, I was trying to find her another home. And then eventually, when I agreed to take her, I had to bring her back to Europe. She had to go on aeroplanes for 3 days. And then, a street dog to being a domesticated dog was a hard thing for her. I had to be super harsh owner because her tendency is feral behavior. She's not had the easiest life, and I see her scared of a lot of things. Just my mum hoovering is quite a shock for her. And people moving too fast, I can see her flinch in fear. But she never, ever once pities herself or feels sorry for herself. She doesn't think I was the dog that nobody wanted. I was the dog that was left to die. I was the dog whose family was run over in front of me. She never is like that. She always responds with innocence to everything that happens. Even when she's scared. So the other day, I bought her a new seatbelt because she sits in the front seat next to me in the car. I put it on. It scares her, so she just sits there and starts vibrating. And so I know that with a dog, when they get scared, you just have to break it. That's all you have to do, is just break it. So you have to just do something. So I invite her onto my seat. So she's excited then to go on my seat. Then I put her back on her seat, and then she's excited to go back to her seat. And she's totally clean again. She's like, yes, let's go, let's go, let's go. But the human, because we believe we are somebody in time, we build this thing. This shouldn't have happened to me. This is bad. This is unfair. And the energies become so strong in our body. Why does it always happen to me? Life is cruel. Life, and the truth is it isn't cruel or fair. It's life, and life, the way that life is appearing at the moment, is one form moving to another. So you grow, you eat meat, you eat fish, you eat chips, you eat vegetables, you eat grains, and you grow. So you take other forms, and it's not unfair you're doing that. That's just in part of life. The grain doesn't sit there and think, this is so unfair, I've got to be their food, I've got to go through their digestive system, and then I've got to come out of the arse in the toilet and then go into the sewage. This is so freaking unfair. The grain doesn't think that. It's just part of it. The grain gets digested and then becomes body. But the human lives in the mentality that I deserve life, that who I am in this form, and it's unfair if I don't permanently stay this form. And it's unfair if I break a finger, if a dog eats my finger, or that I die even, or that I'm born, or that I watch other people suffer. And so then you begin to live in that mentality, and that's what your life is shaped with. Everything, everybody that comes into your reality, you see them through that belief system. You see their unfairness, they're selfish. They always want pleasure. Of course they do. They're human. They always want pleasure. And you always see that unfair story. So when that's happening, so as a separate person, when that's happening, what you have to do is you have to go into that feeling. See it for what it is. See what your mind's doing. See the feelings that you're trying to avoid. Don't look out there for the answer. Go in. Ultimately, there's no in and out, and that will eventually be seen. But at the moment, go backwards. Don't look out there. The teacher is God for freedom. Look inwards, because that's where the freedom is. And the freedom is that which never moves, that which never leaves. because everything else comes and goes. This body will soon be food, or eventually will be food for the insects or for the dogs or whoever it is that eats this body. There is nothing that's permanent, nothing. And this body is always changing. It now is beginning to be tea. If I drunk tea, I would just become a big tea bag. If I just was like, for a couple of days, I would just suddenly combust and turn into a tea bag. And I'd be a square tea bag. And our thinking is relevant, so it's relevant in our society that we understand the concept of fairness. That's a great thing to live by, fairness. I wish that our society would be more fair to its environment and animals. This is my big passion. Because when it is, you'll know that then humans are being fair to themselves as well. Because what they do to the environment and the animals is just reflection of their mind. So fairness is a brilliant concept for us to live by. But it's not a truth, and it's not a reality. You've got to understand the other side of life. But this is an aspiration, which is beautiful. An aspiration to live with the least amount of footmarks on the planet. What a beautiful aspiration. This isn't truth. We've made up the word fairness, we've made up the word footmarks, and ultimately it's irrelevant. And knowing both of those is beautiful. So I'm not negating the relative world. I'm not negating fairness. I'm not saying go out and be evil. I love the idea of kindness and beauty and fairness and justice and trust and equality. I love all these things, and I think it's beautiful, and I think all of us in the human world, in the personal world, can always be doing things to live up to that more, including me, constantly educating myself about stereotypes and biases and discrimination, which I'm susceptible to. Nobody is outside of that. We're all susceptible to it when we live in society. So constantly updating that information, looking for new ways to break down our ideas and break down our barriers and to unite as a society. But you have to, in order to do that, to really do that with a clean heart, you have to understand the nature of reality, that ultimately all of these words only exist in the human world. There is no truth to them, and they're only aspirations, and they're not a destination. They're not a destination that we can get to. Life is constantly moving and in flux, and we can't make anything permanent. So we can't make a permanent, peaceful society. That's not a reality. You know, you finally get to a peaceful society, and then a massive thunderstorm comes, knocks down half the village, traumatizes people, and people are up in disarray again. But if you don't have the belief that the peaceful society is a destination, is something that can be permanent, then there's the acceptance of that and the moving on and the starting again, the ability to start again. And then move and move and move, seeing that there is no destination, there is life happening, which is constant flux and evolving and change. And that's the beauty of it. You don't want all of this to be the same. If it was the same, you'd never be able to see anything. God, I can talk, eh? That's why I'm a Gemini. Who did give me this mentally? This is from Open Eye Hun. It's not anyone in particular, it's a billion factors and circumstances. I'm just going to turn my heater on. 1 second. Cold. Hey Phyllis. So this is from Carol. I thought a lot of things about this thing we look for in life. I understand that happiness isn't found in anything in the flow of life, and this gives me a deep sense of peace when I rest in I am. But I still forget it for some period, usually when I'm really distracted living life and interacting with the things that trigger what is conditioned in my body. That is when pain arises, but those days for much shorter moments than it used to be. Usually a good cry soothes me with the realization that nothing is in my control, so all the pain goes away, and then I stay with the sense of peace because nothing can be done to change what is. Can you please talk about this a little, darling? So this isn't prescription, this is description, but I'm just going to say it in the prescriptive way, as in I wouldn't even give it any attention of the difference between resting and I am or not. It's all a happening. So that belief that you're going back to identification is just thoughts arising. But to investigate them and go in and have a cry and explore what those past pains are. You might never ever let go of those post pains that you cry over, but the resistance to them, the resistance to those feelings will dissipate. But don't even give it much attention, the difference between being awake and not being awake, because there is no line. Who you are is this experiencer, and that experiencer is always active and experiencing everything. It's just this energy claims to be something separate. But in a way, the difference between awake and asleep is something that belongs to the person, that belongs to separation. So I wouldn't even give that much energy. But ultimately it's not you that can or can't, but by saying this there might be the seeing that this is irrelevant thinking. It just likes to think about when it's there and not there and judge itself. And it doesn't matter. There is nothing that's outside of experiencing. Experiencing always is. Buddha nature always is. You never can get away with it. Get away from it. The suffering comes with the belief that you are moving in time and that pain needs to be avoided, and that says that you're bad and wrong, and that happiness needs to be obtained and got, and that says you're worthy to be alive. There's nothing that matters. Nothing that matters. Just here. And you can taste it. I say things like this and you can taste it. All those efforts, all those ideas about what you need to be, what you need to understand, who you need to forgive, what practices you need to do. This is it. It comes up. Well, that seeking energy's there, it's there. And then bit by bit, it just begins to crumble. The idea that you'll get there. The idea that you have a life. All of it is being experienced. And that experiencer can't even be seen. It is seeing. It is hearing. It is feeling. It is knowing. That person can't know it. The person is known. Right here. Hey, Sebastian.
Hello.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let's see if everyone can hear you. Just speak again.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Hello.
I think you need to put your headphones in and but yeah, everyone can hear you.
The old problem with the mobile phone.
Sorry?
Is this better? No, wait. Was the sound okay? Is the sound okay like this?
Yeah, it seems to be. I think so.
Okay, good.
It's better if you have your headphones in because there's lots of funny sounds every time you move.
Okay.
Just keep it still. Just lay the phone down on the bed or something.
Yeah. It's just because I'm looking for the... I stop it. Okay. So, hello.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Tired. I'm tired from work.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You still wanted to speak and ask a question, or are you too tired now?
No. I'm strong enough to ask a question, I think.
You're going to have to raise your voice a little bit. You're incredibly quiet. Or just put it further to your mouth.
Yeah. I want to ask a question, yes.
Yes.
Yes. I have I think I came to the root of all the pain in my life, it's about the feeling of separation and lack, isolation, and not being good enough, as you always say.
Yeah.
And this is the root pain, which appears as in many different problems, in many different feelings. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello?
And I invested.
I think you're really cutting out. The internet's really cutting out, Sebastian. You just went quiet for about 10, 20 seconds. I think you also need to put your headphones in
Maybe.
because it's echoing.
Okay, one moment, please. Better now?
Yeah.
Good. Maybe there was a connection problem. At this time, connection sometimes not good here. Yeah, it's about the root pain. The
Yeah.
root pain of being born, maybe. It's about the pain being born, being separated. And I sometimes have this picture of, I made breathing exercise, body exercise, as you recommended me, and it brought me very deep to the original pain. I think there was there came up a strong desire to die, to the strong wish to be not here. It felt like very original, very deep.
Yeah.
And it still expresses as tension and insecurity.
And where do you feel it in your body when it comes up?
Especially legs and stomach, heart.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not that you don't want to be alive. What you don't want is you don't want to be separate. You don't want to feel that feeling like that you've lost something, that you've been abandoned by God. That's what you're trying to get away from.
That's it. That's it.
Why people kill themselves, is not to get rid of life. They're trying to get rid of themselves because the person has such a strong sense that it did something wrong and that it's been abandoned. And it just produces so many weird stories and believes so many weird thoughts, like these stories that get produced that it's not enough, or it's done something wrong, or this person doesn't like them, whatever it is, and none of that's true. And so it's really beautiful that you've seen that the person doesn't want to be, not because it doesn't like itself, it begins to dislike itself, but the initial feeling is that you've been abandoned in some way. And actually you've never been abandoned, because experiencing is always whole and complete. So my voice isn't happening outside of you as the experiencer. It's happening outside of you as Sebastian, but Sebastian isn't who you are. Who you are is this wholeness, and that's where home is. But Sebastian only knows how to look in time, in this and that, in getting attention from the mother, in being appreciated, in doing well at work. And all of these things are natural feelings, but then when the identity comes in, it believes that home, that completion is found there, and it's not, so it just gets more and more frustrated. That completion is found in wholeness now, in that my voice is not external to you as the experiencer, that everything is appearing in you as the experiencer and is a reflection of you as the experiencer, and that who you truly are is this limitless entity, this presence that's never moved, never suffered, and is always present and still and free. But Sebastian keeps looking and this and that, and feels ultimately frustrated, and even when you really get down to it, has a sense of not wanting to be here, not wanting to live that, because it feels snookered. I'll just have to let Khaleesi out 1 second.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello, I'm still there.
You're still... Sorry, I decided I had to give her food. She was just going to have a hissy fit until I did it.
No problem.
Yeah.
So, what I would like to share with you, I investigated a lot this. First of all, it felt like I came to this root pain, and it felt very freeing, and I now can see that all tensions, all painful feelings are caused by this root pain, are an expression of this root pain. And this makes it much more, much easier to handle. And it's weaker. It became weaker.
And you can see how in so many actions it's there, but what in so many behaviours, but what you feel on the surface is you feel insecure in people's company, or you don't want to be in people's company, but actually it is underneath that a sense of feeling totally abandoned, and like you don't want to be here, you don't want to feel that abandonment.
Yeah.
And you can see that it's present in so much. And when I was awakening, I just saw in every action, it was almost like I could see everything from the way that I moved was about avoiding myself.
Yeah.
trying to avoid the sensation, the absolute heartache of losing that freedom.
Mm.
So just be really gentle with that, Sebastian, that realization, because it's really painful to feel that. But it's really beautiful that you seem to be so open to it.
Yeah, I had good guidance. And somehow there's the thought or imagination that if only this root pain or this pain is seen as not existent, as not as being not that dangerous as it is, then all the fear and doubt and all that painful things lose its heaviness, its importance. What would you say to that?
That's another story, a seeking story.
Yeah. I, I suggested. I thought that this comes.
It's irrelevant thinking about that sort of thing. All that needs to
Okay.
be done is always coming back to what's actually happening. If that's discomfort, if that's a huge sense of a voice voiding, if that's immense presence of freedom, just needs to be that movement back. And it's not your movement back, because there's not a you there that can move back. But just by this coming to light and these words being spoken, that might happen. But that one that moves back, or that collapse that happens, doesn't belong to you, because you're not the doer. The illusory you is not the doer.
No.
The doer is the experiencer, which cannot be found and yet is experiencing this, all of this. Wow, so amazing.
Could you speak some more about this presence?
That's all there is. It's still watching, that is everywhere and isn't separate from things. Watching isn't separate from that which it watches. Everything it sees, or everything that's seen, is that watching. There is no inside and outside of watching. Everything is experiencing itself. And it's absolutely beyond anything that we could describe or talk about. It's so free and vast. It's got nothing to do with what you think or feel or your responses, your emotions.
I can notice it, and I want to get more intimate with it.
That's the story. So just go back to what you feel. That when I spoke, there was this energy of longing for it. And so the story that gets told on top is I want to be more intimate with it. That's not a reality. We always get lost in all these thoughts.
Sorry, I don't know what to say.
You don't have to say anything. There's no requirement of you here.
There's still the sense of lack, a subtle sense of not being good enough.
That's
This is
okay.
not.
That's okay. Just let it be there. Your mind is the thoughts, imagine not having it. Just let it be there. That's what's happening. Your mind imagines a world without that, a time without that. But in order to imagine that now, it must already know it. It must also contain the absolute completion, otherwise it couldn't long and imagine for it. You can't imagine something you don't know already.
So there's nothing to do.
And doing happens. It's an idea that there's nothing to do. It's an idea that there is no you. There is simply this happening. Up pops the idea I am a doer. Up pops the idea I'm not a doer. Up pops the idea enlightenment. And still there is presence. Just go back to what's happening and see that your thinking is often about trying to escape it. This is what is.
And it would be your suggestion to remember this continuously?
It might appear that you're remembering it, but who is that person that could remember it? There is all these things appearing right now, these thoughts, these feelings, these ideas, these sensations. And then there's an extra thought that says, they're me, I can remember it. But then that thought's gone, and still there's presence. There's absolute rootedness in this presence, but it's not an idea. Ideas come and go. It's a seeing that's beyond person, that's beyond subject, object. A knowing that's so deep and profound.
It feels like I'm losing contact.
With whom?
With this sense of presence. With this. I can't lose it actually, but it feels like.
It's not true. It feels like it because you have an idea of what presence feels like.
Yes.
So you have an idea that presence feels like bliss or peace. So therefore you feel that when you're in presence, you have a certain state, and then you lose that state.
Yes.
It's really not a personal thing, awakening. It just seems at first that it's the person that awakens, but it's got nothing to do with the person.
It's no feeling.
Nope.
No
The side
feeling.
effects maybe at first are particular feelings of bliss or of joy, but no, it's no feeling. All feelings come and go.
What is it then? What is it?
This. You can't find it, but yet here it is.
It's always this.
Always this
It's never
presence.
not this.
Wherever you run to, whatever you do, it's this presence.
What's the difference
Feel that
between
frustration, feel that frustration. See how your mind is trying to get away from what's happening. Feel it. See then how the mind gets activated to try and get somewhere. This is what's happening. The path, even though there is no path, the path is coming back to what's actually happening. And that was what just happened to you now, was that you felt uncomfortable, and then your seeking energy began to rear its head, believing that it can get somewhere and it can't. Where can you get to? Just allow it to happen, allow the discomfort in, allow the feelings in. This is eternity. What is a little bit of discomfort in eternity? It's like a raindrop in the ocean. Just allow it in. This.
So no seeking is required.
That's a relevant question. No seeking, that's an irrelevant question. No seeking is required and seeking is required. They both work. We can go one way or the other. We can debate either one endlessly. Go back to that feeling of where that question comes from.
Yeah, there's still this sense of lack.
Still. It's not still, that's just the way the mind's interpreting it. There is just lack happening. Lack.
Yes.
Lack.
Yeah, that's right.
The mind says still, implying that there was a last moment, but really there is just this happening. And just let that discomfort take over. Because it doesn't really belong to you. That discomfort belongs to life. It doesn't belong to the person. But the person's trying to carry this massive backpack on its shoulders that it can't carry anymore. It's like, just give it to God. Give it to life. It never belonged to you in the first place. Khaleesi never claims the pain. She never believes that it's happening to her. All of it happens to life. Her pains, her pleasures happen to life.
So the sense of lack, there has nothing to be done with it.
There is nothing to be done with it, and there's something to be done with it. You could argue each argument.
So, shall I do something with it? I shall not.
You're just trying to give all your power away to me.
I'm asking for advice.
No, you're not. You're trying to stay. You're trying to stay weak.
I still have this assumption that I have to get into this feeling of lack, investigate it, and see that it's not what I assume it to be.
No, you're not. You're trying to step out of your power and give all your power away because you're afraid.
Of what?
If you have more questions, if you keep presenting me with questions, then you can stay a child.
Yes.
You know what has to be done. You are not weak. You know that it just has to be felt. I've said that 100 times in this one conversation. But you're trying to become a child because you feel afraid.
But feeling it for what? It's already
You're
this,
just trying
isn't
to stay a child. Asking me more questions. Sitting behind that desk at school. Giving all your power to the teacher knows. You know Sebastian. Beyond Sebastian. You are not weak. But if you stay weak, then in the apparent story you always have someone that can save you and help you. And that feels secure to you. But there's no security there. Your security is in your presence, and this is known. Your repetitive question asking is about staying as a child. Waiting for the mother's love. Waiting for the saviour of the parents. Feel it. You know this, Sebastian.
But actually it's a little bit confusing for me, you know.
Only because you want to stay a child. You know. It's not confusing for you. If you stay confused, then there's always someone to help you. You know the answer.
Mm-hmm. I know the answer.
I'm not a greedy guru that's going to suck in all these weak people. Because you're not weak. There aren't weak people out there. It's just a game we like to play because we're afraid. I give you your power back.
Now I can't ask questions anymore. You disabled me. Disarmed me.
You are that. You are this. You are wholeness. My voice is a reflection of you as that wholeness. And then this small child, Sebastian, in the middle says, I'm scared, help me. But the knowing of that is the freedom. The stillness of this is the freedom. Just so the people that are listening, I'm sure they're the same people, but if there is anyone new listening, me and Sebastian have had many conversations on live stream. We've even talked off live stream as well.
Yeah. And I've booked another session.
Oh, you did? I have this new booking system up. I love it.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
It's so much easier because it does all the time changes for everybody. That took some computer skills. That really amazed myself at my computer skills sometimes.
You did it on your own?
I have this help of
You
a
made
friend
it.
called Dimitri. He helps me. Just to advertise him, I have his link on my website. He supports. He what he does with me is he helps me through difficult programming, or
Okay.
so he helps me. But I try to do everything myself. I try to learn how to do all these things by myself, so that I'm independent.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's challenging sometimes, the computer. And it's always updating. There's always new software you can learn. You just think that you've mastered it. It's like life. You're like, yes, I've understood how to do this. And then they bring out the newer version, and then you have to learn it all again.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving so quickly, the internet.
Yeah. But I've seen that you can only book till end of February. Weeks beyond, there has been no possibility to book.
I updated it to the end of March now, but I think 2 months is enough for me to book in advance.
Yeah.
But I'm away for most of March anyway on a retreat.
Okay. Right. Okay, maybe I will visit you on the retreat too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very beautiful where we go in Spain. It's a really lovely environment.
For me, it would rather be France, because because of work, I have no time in March.
Yeah. Oh, well, France is equally as beautiful as well. Just different, more green and lush.
Yeah.
And it's in a valley instead of on top of a mountain.
Yeah.
Nice, Sebastian. Nice talking to you again.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa, for calling me.
With pleasure.
Thanks.
With pleasure.
Thanks a lot
Thank you.
for giving me my power back. No, you did.
You should look at the picture that I'm not sure who that is because it's on a tiger, which is normally what's her name, Doa or something, the lady goddess, but maybe Shiva sits on a tiger as well. Be a beautiful image. You most probably don't know what photo you've got set on your Skype, but it's really lovely. It must be Shiva with the stick and the Om.
What goddess? Why looking at this picture? Sorry,
I was
didn't
just
get
trying
it.
to tell you that's your strength. Like that's an image of that strength that you are.
Okay. Oh,
But you most probably don't
a
know what
very
picture.
personal image.
Yeah,
A very personal image.
it's beautiful
Okay.
with a snake
For
around
me,
his neck.
Shiva is a good symbol for
Yeah,
this strength, I think.
yeah, it's nice. Nice. Thanks,
He's
Sebastian.
calm.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah, and strong
yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Sebastian. Very sweetie.
Thanks, Lisa. Hear you soon, maybe.
Yeah.
Hear you soon,
Hey.
yeah. Bye.
Hey, Vinny V. Okay, guys. That's 2 hours, so that's enough now. I won't be on stream this Sunday because I'm travelling back to the south of France, so I will be on the road. But I'll put that on my website. So the next time I see you will be a week on Wednesday. So Wednesday, let's have a look what date I'm next on. Wednesday the 8th. Okay, thanks guys. Lots of love.